seconds away from getting shut out in 2 games. Their offense has not shown up here in Tuscaloosa, hitting under 200 for the series. In game 2, they hit under 100. Alabama, when you really look at it, they have kind of controlled every inning with the exception of one here and there.
Oklahoma came into the series batting .344 on the year. Tonight they take on Caitlin Riley for the 2nd time in the series. She has gotten better as the season has gone along. An exceptionally efficient game 1.
Her last 4 appearances in SEC play, look, thrown almost 18 innings and only given up 3 earned runs.
Taking on an Oklahoma lineup that has been shaken up by head coach Patty Gasso. Gabby Garcia now batting in the 2-hole. Nellie McEnroe-Marinis dropped down to the 4. Here is a sidearm sling from Hawkins that gets away from Dukeshire at first, and up to second goes Pickering. And for the first time in this series, a little bit of shakiness defensively for Alabama.
It's what's kept Alabama alive in this series and given them a heartbeat defensively behind their pitchers that don't produce a lot of strikeouts. They have been making plays back behind them, but an error on the first play of this game. Caitlin Riley has ball, spinning that off-speed curveball, off-speed rise ball, and it's been effective against the OU hitters.
Gabby Garcia batting in the 2 spot. One of the great freshmen, not just in this conference, but in the country, batting .400 on the year, but hitless in this series.
It's actually going to go down as an infield single for Pickering, and then an error on the throw to advance to second. But to me, that should be just an error on the play itself. Should have been able to get her out.
Just the 2nd error of the series for Alabama as Garcia smacks it to Hevelin. 1 down, and Pickering moves to 3rd.
Caitlin Riley came out in inning number 1 on Saturday in game 1, and she just looked aggressive. She attacked the zone with her drop ball and that off-speed curveball, got some swings and misses, but again, just really relied on her defense, and it was her energy, her fire, her presence that she brought from the very first pitch. And Coach Murphy said coming into the series, he wanted to see his team throw the first punch and continue to throw them. And to me, it wasn't an offensive punch that stuck out. It was a punch of Caitlin Riley with how she attacked that first inning. She's going to throw a heavy drop ball at about 60% of the time. So you know the defense back behind her in the infield is going to have to scoop up a lot of ground balls and hard hit ground balls off the Oklahoma bats.
0-2 to Ella Parker in the 3-hole. Parker has been exceptionally dangerous this year. Top 5 in the SEC in doubles. 34 runs batted in. Goes down on strikes. And the 2nd out of the inning for Caitlin Riley.
This pitch actually looks like a little bit of a miss in a pitcher's count. It looks a little bit too sweet. It's up in the zone, a drop ball that just doesn't drop. And Ella Parker swings through it. That is a mistake that goes in the favor of Caitlin Riley for an important 2nd out.
And now Nellie McEnroe-Marinis. Who shockingly has gone hitless in the series. Right back up the middle, snared by Riley, and she gets out of the inning with a runner at 3rd base and less than 2 outs. Bama yet again has a chance to strike first in the bottom half in Tuscaloosa.
As well as tight spin and movement and the ability to change speeds. Only gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 1 walk. Usually that strikeout to walk ratio is very efficient, as well as her pitch count.
Ball 1 to Audrey Vandegrift, who leads it off for a very fast Alabama offense. They lead the SEC with 97 stolen bags. Vandegrift's 45 leads all of Division I. Off the glove of Landry, charging in from second, Agbayani, and not in time. Leadoff infield single for the freshman Vandegrift.
I mean, look at how already in this game that Alabama gets the bounce on a hit right back up the middle, and Oklahoma did not with that Caitlin Riley fielded ball for out number 3. And with the speed of Vandegrift to get down the line, she is a spark consistently for this Alabama lineup.
Callie Hevelin digging in. Vandegrift goes. The throw from Hicks is high and into center field. Agbayani is there. Vandegrift's first stolen base of the series against a freshman catcher, making her 3rd start of the season.
Yeah, challenging her right off the bat. She is a green light speedster over at first base, going to be able to take bases left and right. That's why she has the most stolen bases in Division I as a freshman.
Absolute game changer on the base paths for Alabama. All state in the 100 and 200 meter dash in high school. Won a number of state championships. And Amanda, for Corey Hicks, making just her 3rd start of the season behind the plate. One of a number of shakeups made by Patty Gasso for game 3.
The freshman the nod in this game. Usually it's Bella Emmerling, the transfer from North Carolina, but Patty Gasso wanted to put the freshman back there in game 3 and mix things up.
And in center field, Hannah Core makes her 1st start of the series. And at first base, Sydney Barker makes her 1st start in the infield. She did start game 1 in the outfield and had a pinch hit home run in game 2. Hevelin. Oh, she was 3 or 4 steps up the first base line before a called strike by Scott Mayer and a full count.
And we have a couple of drop ball pitchers in the circle that can throw that pitch well, and Sam Landry likes that drop ball, gets the very bottom of the zone, but Caitlin Riley on their side seeing that, taking notes.
Payoff from Landry. Hevelin shoots it into right field, caught by Pickering, and Vandegrift will stay put. Well, in game 1, Sam Landry threw 40+ pitches over the first couple of innings, and then, as you mentioned, really settled in. Amanda ended up with less than 100 over the full 7.
Alabama had a chance with the bases loaded against her in the first inning of that game and just could not push a run across. And you don't know how many opportunities that you're going to get against a pitcher like Sam Landry. Nevertheless, with the bases loaded, but runner in scoring position, middle of your lineup coming up early in this game, you want to be able to push her across.
Just 3 hits for Alabama in game 1 against Landry, as Brooke Elstad digs in with a runner in scoring position and less than 2 outs.
And the thing about the mix-up, too, with the Oklahoma defense is that especially on the infield, you have so much quickness, so much range with who is out there right now. You essentially have 4 shortstops playing every infield position. As Sydney Barker, who's playing first base, the freshman, is a true shortstop, a natural shortstop. That's what she came in as.
Pop up left side, that will find the seats. Foul.
But the speed at which Nelly McEnroe-Marinas can close in on balls over at third base, the lateral quickness of Gabby Garcia at shortstop, and same thing for Agbayani, who can cover so much ground. This Oklahoma infield is tough.
Upstairs, gets past Hicks, up to third goes Vandegrift, and she will stay put as she rounds about third base. A rare wild pitch from Sam Landry.
Well, and nobody was covering home, so Corey Hicks got the bounce, but home plate was left open. That's why you saw Vandegrift take a couple of extra strides toward home.
Go ahead run at third, and the 1-2 count to Elstad. Bouncing ball. Landry looks her back to third. The tag at first is in time. Boy, that was bang, bang, and heady play by Barker at first. And Vandegrift stays put, 2 outs.
Surprised to not see Vandegrift go immediately off the bat. Ball on the ground, headed toward the right side with her speed. She should have scored all day. But a really athletic play by Sydney Barker to be able to take this throw and make the tag. Sam Landry fields her position well, but with the speed of Vandegrift, I would have liked to have seen her push the envelope there with a chance to score.
Well, you talked about it, Amanda, early. Patrick Murphy gave us 3 keys. Start fast, defend, timely hits. They have the go-ahead run at third base, trying to strike first in this series for the 3rd consecutive game. Strike 1 to Abby Dukeshire.
There's that drop ball thrown again right at the bottom of the knees, and Sam Landry picking up on that. And if you're going to get that drop ball called there, there's no need to raise it more up in the zone. One thing that she did against them in game 1 was change up her variety of pitches. So she actually threw her changeup the most against Alabama on Saturday, threw it at 31% of the time, and then her rise ball at 24% of the time. Both of those pitches are about an 8 or 9% increase from her regular pitch usage. There is that changeup. It is her favorite pitch. She feels very comfortable to throw that pitch in any count. But on the season, throwing her changeup at 23% of the time. In game 1, 31% of the time.
Ahead in the count again, 1-2. And gets out of the inning. Both pitchers stranding a runner on third base in the first inning. No score.
Look at this setup pitch for the strikeout. This is the pitch before the strikeout through the zone, so it makes Dukeshire swing at this one to protect the plate with 2 strikes. That is elite pitching by Landry, who just graduated from Alabama, and she just came back from Montana Fouts' bachelorette party. So Montana Fouts' wedding is just on everybody's mind right now.
So is the guy who sung the national anthem tonight.
That's right. He did do a really good job. More of a country flair twang to it. It was very good.
Well, we are in the South, so a twang just seems appropriate for a Monday night anthem.
And maybe a contender for Montana's wedding.
There you go. No score after the first inning. Sydney Barker digs in.
We were talking about this at dinner last night, but how about the couple of pinch hit home runs that Oklahoma has had in game 1 and game 2, including one off of the bat of Sydney Barker. Didn't get the start in yesterday's game, came in the 7th. They were about to get shut out for the first time since 2019, which was in the World Series against Montana Fouts in Alabama, speaking of her. But Sydney Barker blew up the shutout.
Flair in the left, caught by Vandegrift, 1 down. Well, that's a great point, Amanda. And when you look at the 6 total runs scored by Oklahoma's offense in this series, 3 of those driven in by pinch hitters. The other, Maya Bland, right there on your screen, had that 2-run bomb off the bench on a 1-2 count with 1 down in the 7th in game 1 to put Oklahoma ahead. As Ailana Agbayani takes strike 1 from Caitlin Riley.
And boy, I give a lot of credit to Caitlin Riley. Again, we talked about it before, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again, but with the way that she came out and threw in inning number 1 of this series, pitching has not been the strength of Alabama's team up to this point in the season. They've really actually struggled at times, and kept entering into this weekend. They had the worst ERA as a team that they've ever had.
2 away on the catch by Vandegrift.
So when you looked at Oklahoma's offense and just how prolific it's been for the past several years, and seeing Alabama's pitching, I think that a lot of people looked at this series statistically and thought, man, Oklahoma's going to score a lot of runs off of Alabama pitching. But it just really hasn't been that way because of how Caitlin Riley and Jocelyn Brisky both have stepped up.
2 down for Abigail Dayton. Oklahoma coming into the series top 5 in the country in homers, walks, runs, and on-base percentage.
I mean, hitting under 200 for the series when you looked at, they're one of the best home run hitting teams, has one of the best on base percentages, one of the best batting averages.
Picked up in fair territory by Dukeshire in a smooth 1-2-3 inning for Caitlin Riley. Bama again will have a chance to strike first when we return in T-Town. And all-time in wins in Division I. They've known each other for over 3 decades, dating back to when Patrick Murphy was an assistant at Louisiana, recruiting one of Patty Gasso's players from Long Beach City College in the early 1990s.
With Yvette Girard, the former head coach when she was at Louisiana, and Coach Murphy was her assistant. And to hear Coach Gasso and Coach Murphy talk about their memories that go way back, to hear Coach Gasso talk about the young Murph at that point with Coach Girard, and just watching him grow up. And
one drop down by Valentine and fielded well by the starting pitcher Sam Landry. One away.
And believe it or not, we went to the Wayback Machine and found this picture of Patty Gasso at Long Beach City College when she was the head coach there from 91 to 94. And she told us that she was just so excited that Coach Girard and Coach Murphy was recruiting one of their pitchers to go and play D1 back then. And she said, I remember handwriting letters to highlight our players. Remember, there was no texting, there's no YouTube videos that you can watch at this point, but just to hear her talk about the memories of going back to just where everything started for her coaching career was really cool, and how it overlapped with Murph.
Oh, 1 count to Lex Papillo, starting DP tonight for Alabama. If you would have asked those two coaches in the early 90s then how many Women's College World Series appearances they would have now, how close do you think they would be to the actual number? Nowhere near, maybe.
I think I'd go with the under is probably
no
what
doubt.
They would say, right? With hopeful that it would be the over of what that number is, right? But I mean, what incredible careers and just followings that these programs have had under the head coaching of both of these head coaches.
Alabama has been to 4 of the last 5 Women's College World Series. They won it all in 2012, the first SEC team to do so. And of course, Oklahoma coming off an unprecedented 4-peat. The defending national champs yet again. 2-2 to Papillo. Swing and a miss, and the second strikeout of the night for Landry. 2 down.
Good spot of a location with her drop ball inside, just heat. You see her turn her hand over with that pitch, just really clips the corner. A good looking pitch for her second strikeout.
Lauren Johnson has hit in 8 of her last 9 SEC games. 1 for 5 in the series with a run batted in. And that caught a piece of the starting right fielder. So a runner on with 2 outs, and Saylin Hawkins coming to the plate. Hawkins becoming the everyday starting shortstop at the beginning of March. It was not that way early in the year, but as Patrick Murphy told us, she really jumped into that role with her bat. Has hit .290 since entering the starting lineup on March 4th. Chopper to the left side, caught by McEnroe Marinas, and a good stretch by Barker. Will they take a look at it? Patrick Murphy looking at first base and asking his coaching staff if they should challenge. Doesn't look like they're going to. 5-3 the putout. Bama leaves 1. No score after 2.
Championship.
Yes, the infamous rain game, which will forever be told as part of the Alabama softball lure. Winning it all in 2012, taking down Oklahoma. Flared off the end of the bat here by Hicks. Foul territory. And I don't know, that might get lost in the sun by Duke. Sure couldn't come up with it. And Hicks will stay alive at the plate.
And unfortunate, too, for Callie Heveland, who was also tracking it down, but kind of got in the mix with the umpire over down the first baseline. So she was going to be out of the play and missed opportunity for an out with how long that ball was in the air.
Chelsea Clark, our first base umpire tonight. Tatum Stolting over at third. Scott Mayer behind home.
Yeah, but that 2012 national championship was pretty epic, of course, bringing the first national championship to the SEC, and little Keilani Ricketts versus Jackie Trina pitching matchup. I mean, Alabama had 60 wins that season, a 60-8 record. Of course, Kayla Breaux was on that team as their leadoff hitter, as well as Jen Fenton, Kayla Hunt, Cassie Riley-Bocha, Amanda Locke. And on the other side was Lauren Chamberlain and Jessica Schultz.
Second strikeout of the night for Riley, one down in the third. Well, that was one of 4 instances in which one of these teams ended the other's postseason. Of course, Oklahoma then bounced back in 2013 to win it all. They have 8 national titles, all under Patty Gasso, including the last 4.
And too, I think of these teams as just really big fan bases and following. They have really passionate fans, especially when they lose, no matter if it's 3 or 4 losses or 16 losses. I mean, these fans want to win, and they are behind them, and sometimes a little tough on them, I'm not going to lie, on social media. But, you know, when you have that type of following that is so big and grand like Alabama and Oklahoma do, those fans are going to be there and be loud sometimes.
And the crowds this year have followed Oklahoma everywhere they have gone. Patty Gasso making a point to play some midweek games on the road, help out some of the mid-major programs, selling out stadiums left and right this year. 1-2 to Hannah Core.
And you can't forget, this is one of the toughest places to play, and it has been for years. Alabama has really set the standard when it comes to average attendance, leading the nation, and many years now. Of course, with beautiful Lupps Field at Oklahoma, they're going to give them a run for their money.
Core to third, backhanded by Elstad, but they're going to blow. They're going to say rather that it was fouled off Elstad's foot, I believe. I beg your pardon, that's Hannah Core. Elstad over at third base. 2-2. And a strikeout on the outside corner. Riley is painting with 2 down now in the third.
You can just tell that Oklahoma hitters are so in their heads. Taking this pitch right here with 2 strikes, back-to-back strikeouts for Caitlin Riley on pitches that are a little bit more up in the zone, don't even really have a ton of down movement, but she's just confident and going at them.
Second time through the order now for Oklahoma. Cassidy Pickering still the only Sooner to reach tonight. It was on an error to lead off the game in the first. Pickering batting a team best .447 entering game 3, riding a 16-game hit streak after going 3 for 7 over the first 2 games of the series. Taking all the way, strike 1.
Yeah, you said this, I believe, in game 1 or game 2, either goes, but she's been on a heater, and she's been seeing the ball really well, finding ways to get on base. Great adjustments at the plate she's been making in game.
And a strike. Oh my. Pickering had her guard off at first base, shouting into the dugout, trying to pump up her team, and instead has to walk all the way back to the plate for a full count.
This umpire back behind the plate, Scott Mayer, has had a lower strike zone. This has been called consistently.
Riley strikes out the side.
Came all the way back from a 3-0 count to get this final strikeout of the inning. Strikes out the side. 8-9-1 came up, and Caitlin Riley is dealing. 3.
How about Auburn winning back-to-back SEC series after losing 12 straight at one point in league play? Quite a turnaround by the Tigers.
They've had some really high highs and then some really low lows this season. Don't forget, remember they didn't lose a game in Clearwater when RPI came out for the first time back in March. They were #1 in the RPI because of so many great wins they had early on in February. Went through that tough spot, but maybe Auburn's pulling back out of it.
0-2 count to Kristen White. Looked like she might have double hit that, and Chelsea Clark is coming to chat with Scott Mayer, and I believe it'll be called a foul ball. It's a good eye there by Chelsea Clark up the first base line. Kristen White makes her second start of the series.
You see it hit the bat twice right off of the ground. Interesting, right? You don't see that one too often.
No, you don't. And Patty Gasso's out of the dugout now. She wants a further explanation from Scott Mayer. And now we may hear from one of our umpires as they get together.
Well, I'm interested to see if they end up calling her out on this double hit ball.
Here is Scott Mayer.
Oklahoma is challenging whether the batter got hit with the ball outside the box. The call is under further review.
And now Patty Gasso saying that's not what she wanted to challenge. Here's another look at it.
Just as a reminder, you can't challenge whether her foot was out of the box. So that's not something that they will be looking at, even though her foot is out of the box.
Still some confusion here as Patty Gasso walks slowly back to her dugout. And Scott Mayer again. Very long time to sort this out, and we've had numerous challenges throughout the course of this weekend, including one that was very controversial at the end of game 1. Allowed Oklahoma to keep a runner at first base. Maya Bland came up, pinch hit home run. Oklahoma stealing game 1 after trailing 1-0 entering the 7th. Here we go.
After further review, it is a foul ball.
And the call stands. Kristen White made her first start of the series yesterday because Patrick Murphy has loved what she's done over her last 10 games, batting nearly .360. Had an RBI single last night. Part of a 6-run game for the Tide. Line right into the middle of the shortstop. Garcia, 1 down.
And I think on that play that they were looking at, it did indeed hit her bat twice, but I think with her bat being in the box, it just ends up being a foul ball. Nothing. Oh, nothing burger.
See something new every weekend in this sport, don't you?
Every weekend. Oh, yeah. You got to get tested with the rules and all the things.
That might end up on a rules call on Tuesday this week.
Got to be on your toes.
Second time through the order now for Alabama. Audrey Vandegrift reached on an infield single back in the first. Still the lone hit of the game for either team. Right side, it will sneak through. Seeing eye single for the leadoff hitter for Alabama.
Yeah, it looked like Sydney Barker gave up on that ball a little too soon, maybe thinking that Agbayani was playing a little bit more in the hole. Instead, she was more up the middle of the field. You see her go for it. It's too far. I'm going to let Agbayani get it. She'll be there with her speed, but because she was just a step or two up the middle of the field, it sneaks through.
Vandegrift stole in the first inning. There she goes. Hevelin hit and run, sent to the gap, down for a base hit. Vandegrift waved around third. Bama takes the lead on an RBI double by Callie Hevelin.
Callie Hevelin, the senior, has been so clutch this weekend. She has a hit in every game of the series thus far. That pitch bled back over the heart of the plate, and she has been really good at getting her barrel to inside pitches, even with speed. Sam Landry throws with good velocity. That is That's not easy pitch to barrel up, but she scores the first run of this game. Vandegrift, as you mentioned, was stealing on the pitch, easily scores from first base with her speed. And for the third time in this series, Alabama scores first.
Well, Hevelin, remember, in game one, had 2 of Bama's 3 hits against Sam Landry. You could say she was really the only one timing up Sam Landry in that game who went the distance. Tonight, timing her up again. And for the third straight night, Bama strikes first on its home turf.
And just flashing back the home run that Callie Hevelin hit off of Kirsten Deal yesterday, where Deal at times was just eating up the right-handed Alabama hitters with an up-and-in pitch, but then Callie Hevelin punished that pitch. That was not a bad pitch by Kirsten Deal, but that's how good Callie Hevelin has been. That's her 12th home run. She hit 6 home runs last year. Callie Hevelin having a big-time senior year.
And Bama still threatening with the heart of the lineup still to come. Brooke Elstad digging in with a runner in scoring position and 1 down in the third. Alabama has not won a series against a top 2 ranked opponent since 2016 against Florida. That is what is at stake tonight after they took game 2 to split the first 2 games with the defending national champs. Great pitch by Landry, ahead in the count 1-2 now.
And looking at Alabama's batting average against different pitches, the changeup is the pitch that they have the lowest batting average against, just a 249 clip compared to drop balls at 336.
Got her again with the off speed.
And I think that's why Sam Landry used that pitch so much in game 1. Used it about 8% more, and it was her most used pitch in that complete game win. And a couple of strikeouts now on that changeup. I would continue to throw that pitch even more against these Alabama hitters.
Strike one to Abby Dukeshire, who has homered in the series. 7 on the year for the junior, coming off a breakout sophomore campaign a season ago.
It's that screwball that Sam Landry will work in there as well. A pitch that, with working with pitching coach Jen Rocha, she's gotten more comfortable with, and and being able to locate that pitch more consistently, especially on the inner half, these right-handed hitters, that pitch moves and she throws hard at 70. It's a good pitch for Landry.
Jen Rocha told us before the game that the thing she's been most impressed with in terms of her ace has been the development of her secondary pitches. What an array of weapons Sam Landry has this year in the circle for Oklahoma.
Well, she just has so many weapons. Last year at Louisiana, she threw her rise ball the most at 27% of the time, right? And this year at Oklahoma, she's using her drop ball the most. So she's really mixed up the pitch calling from Coach Rocha, who Sam Landry told me, it's like you get here and you hear about how good of a pitching coach she is, but she is the best pitching coach in the country, is what Sam Landry said.
Pop up, foul territory, tracked by McEnroe Marinas, and makes the catch to end the inning. Not before Alabama can strike first on an RBI double by Callie Haviland. Patrick Murphy joins us next in Tuscaloosa.
I know someone with the initials of KB who may or may not be here present at the field who might have something to say about that. But in all reality, when you ask Kayla Bro about Vandegrift, she said she is an unreal athlete and a better athlete than I was.
Well, Amanda, second time through the order for Oklahoma. Second time in this series that they've seen Caitlin Riley. What would you like to see from the Sooners, whose bats have been quiet again tonight?
I'd like to see them go after just one speed and go after her drop ball. I feel like that off-speed curveball that Caitlin Riley showed from inning number 1 of game 1 is still a pitch that's working for her and keeping Oklahoma off balance, which is exactly what you want that pitch to do. There is more of a changeup that she's actually thrown in this game, so that's a different off-speed look that she's trying to work in. And Lance McMahon, her pitching coach, another great pitching coach, going head-to-head with Jen Rocha here, another good pitch caller.
Snared at first. Dukeshire taps the bag one away.
I thought it was so cool, though, when Coach Murphy talked to us about just strengthening that competitive drive and that pressure of something that he does at practice. He calls it the Thunderdome. Okay, so you have a full defense back behind your pitcher. You pick a pitcher and a catcher, and they have to go up against 5 hitters. There's that off-speed curveball.
Knocked down by Riley, 2 away.
So the pitcher and catcher have to go up against 5 hitters, and all the pitcher has to do in this Thunderdome practice is get 3 outs. If she does, then the pitcher wins. If they score, then the hitters win. So this is something that he does with a lot of pressure on the pitcher to kind of put their back against the wall to see how they're going to be able to respond when they have to get 3 outs. And it varies for who is going to be picked to be the pitcher. It was earlier in the week, Brea Hodges, the freshman, and he said she mowed them down. So pitchers have the hot hand here on the Alabama pitching staff.
And as you mentioned, pitching coming into the series was not the strength of this Alabama team. In fact, it was their offense who is enjoying one of the best seasons in program history statistically. But the pitching this week has been elite for the Tide against one of the great offenses in the country. And now with 2 outs, Nellie McEnroe Marinas digs in.
A 2.77 ERA is the worst in school history, the highest in school history, which still, I mean, it goes to show how good Alabama's pitching has been year after year, right? When 2.77 is the highest ERA in team history. I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, that's a very good, it's still good.
This is hit a mile high to left field. It could go, and McEnroe Marinas has tied the game at 1 with her 8th home run of the SEC slate and her 11th of the season overall.
One of the best home run hitting teams in the country, and Nellie McEnroe Marinas has gotten quite a few home runs in SEC play. In SEC play, she has been one of the best home run hitters, and sits on that off-speed curveball that we talked about. It's more elevated up in the zone, and that is a prime example of not being in between speeds. You are on time with the slower speed and barreling it up to tie up this game.
And silence. The crowd of over 4,000 on hand again tonight for the third straight game in this series here at the Rhodes House. Sydney Barker with home run power. Ahead in the count 2-0. And Lance McMahon, the pitching coach for the Tide, out of the dugout. How about this, Amanda? That home run by Nelly, the first run scored by Oklahoma in this series before the 7th inning. Remarkable.
It really is. You can tell Lance McMahon is just out there talking to her just to calm her down after that. Hey, it's just one pitch. Remember, you've been pitching great. Talked about it at the beginning of the game, but her last 4 SEC appearances, she's only given up 3 earned runs coming into this game in about 18 innings pitched. So runs have been hard to come by in SEC play, especially as of late off of Caitlin Riley. Remember, she transferred from Ole Miss. This will be her one and only year to play in an Alabama uniform. That's the way to get right back on the horse with that pitch, is to throw it in a hitter's count. Get yourself the first strike to make it a 2-1 count with that off-speed curve.
Two bases cleared, 2 down. Game tied at 1 in the top of the 4th. And a full count to Sydney Barker. One thing that Patrick Murphy has said time and again in this series, it's going to take a whole lot more than 1 run to beat Oklahoma. And Barker draws a 2-out walk after the 2-out homer by McEnroe Marinas.
Coming into this year with all these new faces in the Oklahoma roster, Patty Gasso was thinking that they just have really good speed, maybe hit for a good average. And a couple of weekends ago, you know, when they're up there at tops of the best home run hitting teams in the country, she said, I don't even know where all this power is coming from.
Well fielded by Riley to get the speedy not freshman, but newcomer Agbayani. But how about this by McEnroe Marinas?
She is so smooth in all aspects of her game. A big swing and energy, too, by Nelly to tie up this game.
Just been a highly competitive series. Well played, well pitched. And you referenced it earlier, Amanda, but a late home run stopped a potential shutout last night for the first time since 2019 of the Sooners. That was Sydney Barker pinch hitting with already an out in the inning and 2 outs, in fact, and wiped the potential shutout off the board. So perhaps a big home run by Nelly McEnroe Marinas in the top half of this inning to tie it at 1 apiece. Meanwhile, Riley Valentine leads it off for Alabama here in the home half.
There's that drop ball that Sam Landry has thrown more this year. I had a chance to talk to her before this series, and I just love getting a chance to get into a pitcher's mind, any of these players' mind. I'm not just going to make it pitcher specific, but with a senior who has had 3 years of experience.
Excuse me, swing floated into left field, and it finds the grass. Base knock for Riley Valentine to start the 4th, and a little Jordan shrug back to the Alabama dugout.
Yeah, I can't even believe that Gabby Garcia had a chance to get to this play and it hit off of her glove. That's how quick she is, how good of a drop step she has to be able to get close to catching that. We talked about the speed and the quickness of the Oklahoma infield. It's a prime example, even though it goes down as a hit.
Nobody out for Lex Papillo. That might have caught Papillo. No, it goes off the glove of Hicks and rolls to the backstop. Up to second goes Valentine. And the second wild pitch of the game for Sam Landry.
I'm willing to say that Sam Landry is not an easy pitcher to catch with her speed and spin and late break. She's so much going for her. It's difficult to catch. There's that changeup that she says is her favorite pitch. A lot of confidence in that pitch. Good take, though, by Papillo.
Now remember, Corey Hicks, the freshman, making just her third start of the season behind the plate tonight for Oklahoma. And she calls time. 3-0 count to Papillo. Strike one. Patrick Murphy told us timely hitting, one of his 3 keys here in game 3. Bama 2 for 12 in the series with runners in scoring position. Valentine, the go-ahead run at second base, and the 3-1. Sharply hit and just foul to the left of the third base bag.
One of the best swings that we've seen Papillo have this weekend. You can tell too that Coach Murphy is looking for Papillo to find her mojo again in the box, continuing to give her chances. Feels like she's really close, knows that she's going to be a big part of their offense down the line.
Goes down on strikes. Way to battle back by Sam Landry after Papillo was ahead in the count 3-0. 4th strikeout of the night for the Louisiana transfer.
This drop ball is just so tough. Look at it fall off the table, started at the knees, ends at the shoelaces, and a good job of Corey Hicks to capture that drop ball for the first out of the inning.
Lauren Johnson comes up bunting and foul.
And let me tell you about that drop ball that Sam Landry told me about. She said at Louisiana, Jerry Glasgow, who was the head coach at the time, told her that she had a good drop ball, but she didn't like it. She didn't think that it was good. She couldn't control it and just didn't feel like she can throw it very well. So she was just kind of stubborn about it all 3 years at Louisiana.
To third, a look back to second. Runner goes anyway. They get the runner at first. So Johnson is out, but Valentine with some sneaky base running ends up at third base with 2 outs.
And that is that drop ball again. She's been working on that drop ball with Coach Rocha. Coach Rocha really wanted her to focus on that pitch and told her, look, just don't get frustrated with it. Just throw it. You have your rice ball. Let's focus on that drop ball. And so she started doing that, giving it a chance, and she started actually loving it and playing into it. Now it's her most thrown pitch this season as a senior. And I like this quote that she told me. She said, it feels good to trust a pitch that I've hated my entire life. And with that drop ball and her rise ball, plus her changeup, she just makes for a tough pitcher to go up against.
Told us that's been the biggest change, her mindset. Coming over to Oklahoma and being coached by the great Jen Rocha, her pitching coach. And now with 2 outs, Salen Hawkins. Strike one.
There it is again. Different approach going up against Alabama the second time that she's facing them. Going more to that drop ball and her changeup, not as much to her rise ball that we saw her throw well in game 1.
Hawkins pops it up left side. Garcia calling everyone off, and Alabama now 0 for 8 in the game with runners in scoring position. Landry with her 4th strikeout keeps it a 1-1 game after 4. And for Bama, a chance to steal a series against the top 2 opponent for the first time since 2016 after losing the first game of the series. Abigail Dayton leads off. Takes ball one. Larissa Pruitt into the game in right field for Lauren Johnson for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Also had a chance to talk to Abby Dayton, who has such a spunky personality, but she said that she actually changed over to be a slapper when she was 13 years old. And the funny part about it is that she tried to convince her parents to go to slapping class, but they're like, no, you can't do it. So what she ended up doing was going on YouTube. She'd sit in the office for hours and take notes about how to be a slapper and watch Chip Bennett, the former UCLA slapper. Great story, though, about just when you have your mind set to something, just showing your parents, hey, I am invested. I really want to do this. Took notes after notes after notes and became a slapper, and then even ended up making her own money through FFA to go and get slapping lessons and paid for those lessons on her own.
Not only that, Amanda led the Pac-12 in batting average last season with .431. Playing at Utah. This is her first year in Norman with the Sooners. One down now for Corey Hicks.
And one final thing to add on top of that, she learned from Chip Bennett, but she said one of the players that she looked up to was Haley McClenny, Alabama's very own.
Oklahoma 36-4 on the year. Began the season 28-0. It's the third best start in program history. All four losses have since come in league play. Last night was just their second road loss of the year. First came against Missouri, snapping that 28-game win streak in Columbia earlier during SEC play. 2-2 to Hicks. Base is empty, one down, and the pitch from Caitlin Riley upstairs.
Yeah, I think with all the new faces at Oklahoma, graduating the best senior class to ever play Division I softball, really, with what they did with 4 national championships. I don't think a lot of people would have believed that Oklahoma would start out 28-0 again. And even Coach Gasso said that this team has just passed my expectations, to be honest.
And a walk drawn by Corey Hicks, her first time aboard tonight.
Goes back to that off-speed curveball that is lower in the zone, and Coach Murphy's not happy that this pitch isn't called for a strike, because it seems like we've seen this exact height and location get called. And look, to me, Riley Valentine framed that pitch and brought it up a little bit, but look at where she's catching that ball as well beyond the plate. To me, where that pitch crosses the plate is right at the knees at the bottom of the zone, and easily could have been a strike called with where he has had his strike zone called in this game.
Second walk of the night for Riley. Third free pass if you include the error back in the first inning. Free passes were one of the things that Patrick Murphy pointed to in terms of success for Alabama over the first 2 games. Now can Oklahoma take advantage? Tia Malloy will pinch run at first base. She has speed to steal. And at the plate, the 9-hitter Hannah Core. Malloy has 6 swipes this season. She represents the go-ahead run in the 5th. And a 3-0 count to Core. Taking all the way, strike 1.
Hannah Core is a story of true perseverance. 2 back surgeries, sprained her ankle earlier this season. I mean, she has just battled to get back on the field, especially after that sprained ankle and her surgeries. Great defensively. Coach Gasso has a ton of respect and just can't even explain the amount of pain that Hannah Core has been through to get back onto the field. Battled through a lot.
Chopper to third, runner was going, and across the diamond, a completed throw by Elstad. 2 outs, and Malloy into scoring position.
I wanted to check out this adjustment by Cassidy Pickering, why she's been so hot. Struck out on this rise ball against Brisky earlier in the game, and then the next at bat, Brisky tried to go right back to that rise ball, and look at what Cassidy Pickering did for a double. Not a lot to write home about for Oklahoma's offense in yesterday's game, but I really feel like the way that Pickering is seeing the ball right now is a bright spot. That's why they have her in that leadoff spot, to get her up to bat as many times as possible. And now she has a chance with the runner in scoring position, making good in-game adjustments against any type of pitches that she's facing.
And on the other side, Lance McMahon out of the dugout to discuss how perhaps to pitch Cassidy Pickering. How would you go after the top hitter in the Oklahoma lineup here?
Well, if I'm going to get that off-speed curveball called right at the knees on the outside corner, like what was called in her last at-bat, I'd go back to that. But you saw how Pickering is at making adjustments when you throw her the same pitch twice. So you got to keep the ball mixing around on both sides of the plate. Continue to mix speeds.
Hard hit to Hevelin, and that will end the inning. Caitlin Riley pitching around a 1-out walk, keeps it a 1-1 game as we head to the home half of the 5th.
At this point in the lineup where Alabama can really use their speed. Kristen White has a really good short game and a lot of speed. And when Alabama, it seems like their offense is clicking. They're hitting for a little bit of power. They're creating chaos on the base pass with hitters like White and Vandegrift coming up.
So it'll be White, Vandegrift, Hevelin. Great speed, and of course Hevelin has seen the ball very well against Landry in this series. Multiple extra base hits. White chops it at short. Tough play, won't get there from Garcia.
Exactly what she needed to do was just put the ball on the ground, create a couple of hops, 1 hop, 2 hop, and then when you have the speed like Kristen White, when it hops twice, it's almost always going to be an infield single with the way that she gets down the line. As a slapper, that's exactly what you want to see. Create 2 hops, use your speed to get down.
Here is Vandegrift. Will White test the freshman Hicks, making her 3rd start behind the plate tonight. And in fact, Isabella Emmerling has come into the game behind home for Oklahoma. She is the starter, and she has White in a rundown. White in trouble, tagged by Agbayani. And that right there is why they made the switch.
Well, it's a way to show your head coach, too, that you want to be out there, that you're going to play big, you're going to be a leader back behind the plate. Look at her communicating now. I mean, there was a reason that she did not start this game and Corey Hicks got the start. And now that she's back in there, she's got to play big like that.
That is a huge play by Isabella Emmerling. And now trying to calm down Sam Landry with the bases empty and 1 down. 2-1 count to Vandegrift.
Look, when you're used to being the everyday whatever position player, catcher, third base, center fielder, and you don't get the start in game 3 of a rubber match on the road, that's a wake-up call. Your coach is sending a wake-up call right to you, not just for Emmerling. This is not just an Emmerling thing. Anybody across the country, it's all about how you respond after that.
Hicks starting the game, the freshman behind the plate, one of a couple of changes that Patty Gasso made just to light a fire in her team for game 3. Here's the payoff from Landry. Spoiled by Vandegrift.
You're not going to see Vandegrift slap like a lot of left-handed hitters with speed. She'll lay down a bunt, but swing away. Has some pop, hits for average.
Seeking her 3rd hit of the game. Up the middle. What a snare by Landry, fielding her position. 2 outs in the 5th.
We've seen some really good fielding plays by pitchers in this game, by Caitlin Riley and now by Sam Landry. That got on her quickly. She was even falling toward first base, releasing that pitch, so she had to go to her backhand across her body with those long arms and long legs. She's about 6 feet tall, and that length helped her out.
Callie Hevelin with 2 down. 4 for 8 in the series. 3 of those hits against Sam Landry, including a pair of doubles. Drove in the lone run of the game for Alabama back in the 3rd. Enjoying the best season of her career at the plate by far. Batting average and on-base percentage up 100 points. Slugging up 300 points. Take strike 2.
When you look at the change of the entirety of the Alabama offense, there's increases in all the numbers. Callie Hevelin, of course, a big part of that offense, and she has the experience, a veteran, a leader on this team. A much better Alabama offense top to bottom this year.
To 3rd. McEnroe Marinas makes the play, and the minimum faced in the 5th for Landry. It remains tied at 1 as we head to the 6th from Bama.
The way she started here in game 3, even rebounding after giving up that home run and limiting the damage despite following up with the walk. But I mean, 5 hits given up in this series against Oklahoma. When you look at her combined numbers for the series, almost 11 innings pitched, only 1 run given up against the Sooners.
Gabby Garcia swinging and fouling it back to start the 6th. And as we talked about, Amanda, it's not just this series for Caitlin Riley, but her last 4 SEC appearances coming into game 3. 17 2/3 innings, 12 strikeouts, just 3 earned runs.
This is going to be a test for her now. 3rd time through the order. These hitters are now seeing her for 6 at-bats now in this series. And Gabby Garcia, Ella Parker, and until that Nellie McEnroe Marinas home run have been hitless in this series, which you just don't see a series very often where the names, they're just freshmen and sophomores, but Gabby Garcia, Ella Parker, and Nellie are held down for that long. But that's how good Alabama's pitchers have been this weekend.
Well, that home run by Nellie was the only hit in the game for Oklahoma. Hard to believe, but the pitching of Alabama has just been so good. 80th pitch of the game coming from Riley. To 3rd, scooped by Elstad and 1 away. And as you mentioned, Caitlin Riley coming over from Ole Miss, where she pitched 3 years, went to the NCAA tournament all 3 seasons, led the Rebels in innings pitched in 2023. Has loved her brief time in Tuscaloosa. In fact, Patrick Murphy told us she came to him about midway through the season and said, "Coach, how do I fit 4 years into 10 months? I love it here."
She's gotten hit a little bit too. See her in the starting lineup at times, offensively.
Coming into the series, hit 346 and 52 at-bats. Did Alabama's starting pitcher tonight. Tosses a strike to Ella Parker to level the count at 2-2.
Just need to put that pitch right there on repeat. I would go right back to that off-speed curveball, that exact same place. See if I could get Ella Parker out in front.
That is roped by Parker. And just the second hit of the night for Oklahoma. 1 on in the 6th.
So Caitlin Riley tried to go back to that off-speed curveball, but she missed it. And this is the importance of just being able to throw a pitch on a dime to the same spot. So this is the pitch before that got a called strike. She tried to go back to that off-speed curveball, but look at the different location. Out over the heart of the plate, up in the zone, and Ella Parker gets her first hit of the series.
Nellie McEnroe-Marinis homered in her last at-bat to tie the game at 1. 8 of her 11 home runs this year have come in league play. Oh, 2.
Nasty drop ball there on the inner half. Remember, it was that off-speed curveball that she got up in the zone that was just not on a corner, not down enough, that she belted out of here for a home run.
High fly ball, center field. White is there. Second out of the inning.
It's a big out.
Go ahead, run aboard with 2 outs. Sydney Barker at the plate. One of 10 freshmen for the Oklahoma Sooners this year. Scorched to short and flipped to second. Hawkins to Heaviland to end the inning. And Riley cruising through 6. It remains tied in T-Town.
10.
Representing a strong contingent of Alabama football personnel and players in attendance on another packed night.
Yeah, the whole football team is here, right?
Notice
tonight.
they all have a snack, Amanda.
Got to hit up the concessions.
Got to keep weight on during spring ball. This is flared into left. Good track down by Abigail Dayton, 1 away. I can't rag on him too much because I've had snacks about every inning in here.
Oh, yeah, it takes one to know one for that, for sure. You are a snack just connoisseur.
Now, Alabama has set an attendance record for a 3-game series this weekend. Football team helping out in that effort tonight. Nearly 13,000 over the 3 games this weekend against Oklahoma. And boy, has the series lived up to the hype. One to Abby Dukeshire. So often these teams have met in the postseason. As Sid Sanders comes back in at first base. She has been the regular starter at first. Sydney Barker, the freshman, got the start in her place tonight. Now she comes in the 6th. This is just the second time ever that these two teams have played in Tuscaloosa, and the first time in the regular season. Here's the 1-2 to Dukeshire.
And a weekend full of offense. This game has ended up turning into a pitcher's duel. When I say full of offense, I mean across the SEC with just really high scores all over the SEC and the conference. Tons of home runs hit. But in game 3, the final game of this weekend, got a pitcher's duel going between Riley and Landry.
it has felt postseason-esque all weekend here. Highly competitive. Not just game to game, but at bat to at bat. The 2-2.
Sam Landry just accelerates so fast in her snap. Her whip, whenever her stride foot lands and hits the ground after she pushes off, that final quarter of her pitch, when she comes through her snap, she really comes through fast. "79 pitches thrown into the bottom of the sixth inning." Remember, in game one, her complete game, she only threw 94 pitches. It's so efficient.
Bama manages 3 hits off her in game one, 5 tonight. Good AB here from Duchar, spoiling a couple of nice pitches. 8th pitch of the at bat coming on the 3rd full count of the night for Sam Landry. Duchar fights it off into left field and down for a base hit. She is aboard for the first time tonight.
That's just a gritty at bat there by Abby Duchar. Fouled off a ton of pitches, struck out in her first at bat on a changeup against Landry, and she tries to go up in the zone with this rise ball, and she just gets enough of her barrel on it to get it out of the reach of Gabby Garcia again. Fights off that rise ball, fought off a lot of pitches in that at bat. Or lead off, or for a single, 1 out.
Now Kinley Pate will come in to pinch run. She has already scored a run as a pinch runner in this series, and has the ability to steal a bag. 3 for 3 this year, with Riley Valentine digging in, and 1 down in the 6th. Valentine singled in her last at bat against Landry back in the 4th.
Tough one to grab by Emerling, who was set up on the outside corner, and it bled back over the plate. With the speed and movement of Landry, again, when she's not hitting that spot, she is hard to catch.
Alabama just 1 for 10 in this game with runners on. Oklahoma 0 for 8. Offense has come at a premium tonight. And the 1-2, a swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts tonight for Landry, and 2 down in the 6th.
That pitch is just so good. It's her flip change. She says it's the only pitch only changeup I've ever thrown. Coaches have tried to get me to throw a horseshoe change, a circle change. You name the different types of changeups that coaches have tried to get Sam Landry to throw, but she constantly goes back to that flip change. It's her favorite pitch.
Larissa Pruitt will now bat in the 6th spot in the place of Lex Papillo. Her first AB of the night after replacing Lauren Johnson in right field a couple of innings ago. And Landry gets out of the inning. We head to the 7th of game 3, tied at 1 in the series and in the game.
Played, just to my really quick count, there's just been 3 times where they've had back-to-back hitters reach. And that's in 20 innings. 3 times they've had back-to-back hitters reach. Just hard time stringing things together and creating momentum on offense.
That being said, they have enjoyed the 7th inning in this series. 6 of Oklahoma's 7 runs scored have come in the 7th. And a 2-0 count to Ailana Agbayani.
In large part that they haven't been able to generate that offensive momentum is that Alabama pitching is just not giving them too many free passes. A couple of walks for Riley in this game, and she's been able to battle back from a 3-0 count a couple of times, getting the bottom of the zone, which is where she likes to live, with her drop ball and that off-speed curve.
Only 3 walks allowed by Alabama pitching coming into the night. Strike 2 against an Oklahoma team rather that is top 5 in the country in walks. Payoff to Agbayani. Up the middle, and a leadoff single for the BYU transfer. Might that start another 7th inning rally for the reigning national champs?
When they have scored their runs, a couple of pinch hit opportunities, pinch hit home runs by Maya Bland and then Sydney Barker.
Dayton drops down a bunt in from third to make the play. Elstad. Clean defense there from the Tide as Agbayani moves into scoring position.
As luck would have it, it would be Bella Emmerling, who has a chance now with runners in scoring position after not starting this game. Got sat for the freshman Corey Hicks, and are late into this game. Already had a pick off at first base, showed off her arm, and now she can show off her swing.
She is 0 for 2 in the series. Her lone start, of course, coming in game 1. 12 of her 22 hits this season are for extra bases. And that gets past the third baseman Elstad. Up to third goes Agbayani. And a 1-out single for Emmerling. Well, Oklahoma now with some life in the 7th and an opportunity here to steal the lead in the 7th. And guess who's coming to the plate for the Sooners in the 9th spot? Maya Bland, who has enjoyed 2 home runs this week. One in a start against Oklahoma State, the other in game 1 off the bench in the 7th inning against Jocelyn Brisky to give Oklahoma the lead.
Game 1, Oklahoma had not scored a run until this swing right here by Maya Bland. Home run on a 1-2 pitch, a changeup that was just right down the heart of the plate. Maya Bland got all of it, and as you mentioned, hit a home run in their midweek game in Devon Park in front of 9,000 fans against their in-state rival Oklahoma State. A big week for Maya Bland.
She's a tough player to double up too. Great speed. And the speed of Agbayani at third, in the words of her head coach, the best on the team. She represents the go-ahead run. Emmerling at first, Agbayani at third. Maya Bland at the plate with 1 down in the 7th.
Shocked that didn't get called a strike with where the strike zone has been in this game.
Scott Mayer hearing it from Patrick Murphy and these fans of the Rhodes House. 100th pitch of the night for Riley, catches the inside corner.
Goes to the other corner with that drop ball. If she goes off speed, she has to be careful with how well Maya Bland sees off-speed pitches.
Bland wanted to drop down a bunt, goes to 2 knees, trying to get the barrel on it. Down in the count, 1-2. Oh, and that got Bland. And the bases will be loaded for the hottest hitter in the Oklahoma lineup, Cassidy Pickering.
This will be 4th plate appearance for Pickering now off of Riley in this game. She's gotten a lot of looks off of her.
Pickering hitless in the game. Needs one here to extend her 16-game hit streak and put Oklahoma on top. Tied at 1-1 down in the 7th. Strike one from Riley.
Great couple of pitches. Working inches, one with her off-speed curve for the first strike, and then takes that drop ball inside. That's not easy to do after you just hit a left-handed batter with that pitch, to have the confidence to go right back to it.
Pickering to the right side. Dukeshire comes home, and the throw is in time at the plate. 2 down for Bama in the 7th. And while all that was going on, there was a collision on the right side of the infield. Look here.
Yeah, there was. Maya Bland runs into Callie Hevlin, who was just going for the ball, but Dukeshire, with her tall length, grabs it, makes a force out at home. That was a bang-bang play. Everything pretty much had to be played perfectly with Agbayani's speed, and it was.
2 outs, bases loaded. Go-ahead run at 3rd for Gabby Garcia. What an opportunity here. Hitless in the series. Back to Riley. She flips to home, and Bama gets out of the bases loaded jam in the 7th. The Tide will have a chance to take this series when we return in Tuscaloosa. It's rival Oklahoma State, and meanwhile the Tide 1 run away from its first top 2 series win since 2016 against Florida. Sam Landry back in the circle. She will take on 7, 8, and 9 in the lineup for Alabama. And the first pitch to Lauren Johnson misses in. Johnson in the right field. Pickering is there, 1 down.
It's just different to pitch in a close game like this with the series on the line on the road if you're Sam Landry. Oftentimes she has the type of offense where she gets late in the game and she has a big, nice cushion, but not all too often that she's found herself in a true road game, tight game like this, in front of 4,000 fans.
Kennedy Marceau will pinch hit in the 8th spot for Saylin Hawkins, a freshman from Kaplan, Louisiana. Shoots it right into the mid at first base of Sid Sanders, 2 down.
Just thinking, if I were her, I would go up swinging early in the count. Callie Heflin had a double on the first pitch of the AP, and now Marceau comes up, learns from an at-bat like Heflin, and just squares it up, but it's right at Sanders.
Kristen White with 2 down and the base is empty. Has already reached once tonight and had that RBI single back in game 2, helping Alabama secure a 6-1 lead to tie the series at 1. Should she get on, the hottest hitter this year for Alabama awaits on deck in Audrey Vandegrift, who tonight has gone 2 for 3 against Sam Landry. Two to White. Landry a strike away from pushing us to extra innings. Chopper to the right side, played by Agbayani, and in time to get White. On to the 8th we go in Tuscaloosa, with the series hanging in the balance between Oklahoma and Alabama.
Worked her drop ball down, gotten some calls that have been down the zone with her off-speed curveball, but it's that fierceness, that intensity, that presence that Coach Murphy has loved about her, especially in this past month when his team has just been struggling to find wins and close games at times. Caitlin Riley wants the ball in the big moment.
A career best 2.25 ERA for the Ole Miss transfer in her senior season, hailing from Dandridge, Tennessee, relishing the big moment and pitching for the Tide. She will take on Ella Parker, Nellie McEnroe-Marinas, and Sydney Sanders, the heart of the Sooner lineup here in the top of the 8th, with the game tied at 1. And a 3-0 count to the starting Sooner DP, Ella Parker. 4th time through the order for Riley. Strike 1. Parker will sneak it in the right field. Her second base hit of the game, and the go-ahead run is aboard for Oklahoma.
Abby Dukeshire has played a good job at first base, but that was kind of a half-hearted approach over there on that ground ball. But Nellie McEnroe-Marinas will have a chance to come up now with a runner on. The only run that OU has in this game is a home run off of her bat back in the 4th inning off of Riley, off of that off-speed curveball that was left up in the zone.
And through the first 5 innings of this game, that home run by Nellie was the only hit for Oklahoma. Like they have all series, though, Amanda. The bats came alive a little bit in the 7th. In fact, the Sooners had the bases loaded with less than 2 outs, unable to capitalize.
I'm just going to say, think about how close this game has been this series. When you look at runs scored, it's just about even.
Into foul territory, it'll get out of the reach of Pruitt.
And even today, same amount of runs, almost the exact same number of hits. I mean, this has been, when you really look at the overall numbers of the series in terms of runs scored, and it's been pretty tight. So no surprise to see this game come down to the wire here in extras.
Foul territory again. I know the way this series has played out means that you're not surprised by the way Game 3 has played out. But are you surprised overall at how Alabama has kept Oklahoma on its heels in this series?
Without hesitation, yes. After Game 1, where they struggled to string some things together until the 7th inning and had that breakout five-run inning, I thought that was going to be the inning that turned the Oklahoma offense on, because we've just seen it too many times.
Yeah.
History repeats itself, right? We've seen it for the past 4 years, just with a different roster. This offense just finding ways to score runs in bunches. But Alabama's pitching has been able to answer the call, and the Jocelyn Brisky start in the complete game yesterday was maybe one of the most special regular season moments that I've seen calling games. Throwing the complete game after giving up the pinch hit home run in the 7th, being 2 outs away from winning Game 1.
3-2 strikeout for Riley. 1 down in the 8th.
Feels good to get that home run hitter. This is her first strikeout since the 3rd inning. It was in the 4th that Nelly hit the home run, and now in the 8th, Caitlin Riley may have the last word.
5 Ks tonight for Riley. First at bat for Sydney Sanders, coming off the bench tonight. Has been the primary starter over at first this year.
This could be another example, too, of being fired up to have a chance to hit here after not starting this game and replaced for another freshman of Sydney Barker.
Okay. 1-2 count to Sanders. Riley working on her 6th strikeout. Ella Parker, the go-ahead run at first base for the 4-time defending national champs. And her bat has come alive tonight after struggling earlier in the series. 2 hits against Riley. And a 2-2 count to Sanders. The senior from San Marcos, California, having her best season at the plate so far in her Oklahoma career. Full count. Third season at OU after transferring over from Arizona State. Fly ball hugging the line in left. Vandegrift tracking and makes the catch 2 away.
Sydney Sanders can just hit some towering fly balls. I was in the air for a while.
It seemed especially long hanging in the air on that fly out. And now the scrappy Ailana Agbayani. Worked a walk in her last AB. Down in the count 0-2. Good pick by Riley Valentine behind the plate. _130th pitch of the night for Riley.
It's a great eye by Agbayani. Caitlin Riley thought that she had it because at times she's been getting the bottom of the zone, but this one a little bit too low in my opinion compared to the rest of the strike zone the rest of the night.
outside, full count.
Another great take. I think both of those pitches are balls. I agree with the home plate umpire, both of those pitches.
Riley right back to work. To the right side and to right field. Parker will stay put at second base. What an at-bat by Agbayani. 2 hits in the night, and it keeps the Sooners alive in the 8th. Out of the dugout comes Alabama pitching coach Lance McMahon. Abigail Dayton due up for the Sooners. And there is history between Dayton and Riley. Remember, Dayton began her career at Utah. Riley began her career at Ole Miss. They met a couple of years ago in an NCAA regional. Dayton got the best of Riley a number of times in that regional, helping the Utes to the Women's College World Series. What a moment here with the go-ahead run in scoring position, and the series hanging in the balance for both teams. Dayton and Riley meet again on a steamy Monday night in Tuscaloosa. Strike one.
I feel like Lance McMahon has called timeouts in this game at the exact right moments to go out and talk to his pitcher, calm her down at times, and talk to his defense too.
0-2.
Just giving little reminders here and there.
Flared foul. .135 pitches tonight for Riley. 2 on, 2 out, and an 0-2 count in the top of the 8th. Dayton to second. Haviland on to first. And Riley again pitches her way out of the jam. Vandegrift, Haviland, Elstad. 1, 2, 3, due up in the bottom of the 8th for Alabama with a chance to win it.
She has evolved, Jen Rocha says, this year with her stuff. This has definitely been a pitcher's duel, a 1-1 game, going to the bottom of the 8th inning. Sam Landry holding her own, 95 pitches thrown so far in this game.
Vandegrift into left field, headed towards the wall. It's gone! Walk-off in the 8th, and Bama takes the series from Oklahoma.
My goodness, a moment she will remember forever. Talking about a pitcher that has All-American stuff. When you were a freshman facing her, swings early in the count, first pitch that she sees. That's when the hitters have had success off of Sam Landry in this game. And watching it go over, more of a line drive home run. Vandegrift, only her 4th home run of the season, but that one counts big time.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
She has been compared to leadoff hitters that have been All-Americans. Haley McClenny, Brittany Rogers, Kayla Breaux. And now Vandegrift gets the final say in this series. What a moment for the freshman.
For the first time since 2016, Alabama has won a series against a top 2 ranked team in the country. Last doing it against the Florida Gators during that 2016 season. What a gutsy performance